This is DJ Wolf Live. I gotta talk about this, man. My topic is why some things matter, and I'm gonna start with family. I just got finished watching the reality documentary about the Carters, and I'm not talking about Jimmy Carter. I'm talking about singers Aaron and his older brother Nick Carter from the Backstreet Boys. That was such a powerful and moving documentary produced by so so Somale Frau, otherwise known as Punky Brewster. She did an amazing job on this documentary, and I have to say it. This documentary had me uh, worked up very emotionally because, uh, like in my situation, I lost my sister. I lost my sister to cancer. Uh, the thing was that Nick and his sister lost his siblings. Get that truck sitting around there like that, man. Drives them to a place they don't need to be going. You know, because even myself, as a young man, young teenager in the '80s, I came kind of close. I had friends of mine that were using drugs and smoking weed and all that stuff and drinking, and I came close to that. I didn't do it. I used other outlets to find my way out of that. You know, I went in the military and did all that, moved out the city and all, went someplace else. But I had to find other resources to get out of the situations I was in because it was driving me nuts. You know, I could go into detail about it, but I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say that my folks were, and I do love them, I do care about them, and all that. But it was killing me at the same time to sit there and see what you dealt with your parents going through what they were going through. It kind of affected me in a lot of ways because I was thrown under the bus. Dad, growing up, my dad when I was young, very young, he used to call me everything but the son of God. Yeah, and it hurt me. It hurt me real deep. You know, deeper than a lot of people will ever know or even begin to understand, because it did. It really did. And in some cases, even to this day. Because, you know, I struggle with self-esteem, you know, in my childhood years, you know. I need to finish my house real quick. And it did deeply affect me for a long time. It took me years to really, how can I put it, get myself out of the headspace. You know, I had to no longer live, I no longer could let my dad and to respect or my mom live rent free in my head the way it was done. I don't want to go into a whole bunch of detail, but you know, when people live in rent free in your brain, it's time to move them out. Just like you would physically. Mentally, you had to do that. When I say it by that, I'm just saying you have to put yourself first in your state to make sure that people don't sit there and think they can manipulate your thought process. That's what I'm talking about. I ain't talking about nothing else but that. You know, and you have to, like somebody like Nick Carter was saying, I give him credit. He said, Nick Carter said a powerful statement. He was right. Your parents do not, I repeat, they do not, what did he say? I'm sorry, I'm trying to, he was saying that they don't determine your outcome as an adult. They don't. They really don't. They don't determine who you are or who you become as a person. You have to do it yourself. They can only give you the guidance and the resources, but it's up to you what you do with them. You know, I said that at my dad's memorial. I said, there's a lot of things I didn't agree with Mom, but I took some of what he said and learned for myself how to deal with it as a man. And I did. I had no regrets on that. I don't. But I know I had to do the right thing for myself and not worry about, you know, what was said about this, that, other, the third. I didn't care. You know, I really didn't. And I know at the end of the day, it's about space, man, to get that out of my head. It's a long time, a very long time, folks. And it was just about, some of it was trial and error. You know, like, I'm not doing this, that, and the third. I want to do what I need to do for me to get it right for myself. You know, and not worry about having to please my parents, not as a teenager or as a grown adult. They got these houses up fast too. I came down here one day, I didn't even recognize that this is the same neighborhood that they come down to go ahead and get on the Beltway to do at all. Crazy. But yeah, folks, it's really about you getting your stuff together and not worry about what people think as an adult. Get your mindset right. Do the right things. Pray on it. Go to church. Ask for God's forgiveness. Ask for God to guide you. That's what I did. I did that in 1980. Because after a number of years, living at home, 16 years, it was taking its toll. My folks were still on the outs. They were falling out. They had the third separation. You know, in almost as many years. You know, and I was stuck right in the middle of it. And I was at a point. I said, you know what? I got to do something with myself. I got to save myself. I can't, you know, and I pray for my siblings as well. But I had to start with me, saving myself first. You know, because I couldn't deal with it. It was driving me up the wall. It really did. It literally drove me up the wall. And I was like, I gotta get out this headspace with these folks, man. I had to. Because it was at a point where it's like, okay, y'all gonna be doing this? I'm gonna see God, man. I can't do this with y'all. And I couldn't. It was driving me mad, folks. It really did. It drove me mad. Well, for lack of a better word, it drove me batshit crazy. It did. And I talked to a neighbor of mine about that years later. He said, I wanted to drive you crazy. It did. It drove me nuts. I left. So, in February 12, 1986, that's exactly what I did. I got the hell out of there. I got the hell out of Cleveland. You know, moved away and never looked back. I still go back to the visit, of course. But it just wasn't, you know, I was at a point I just couldn't take it. You know, I couldn't. Because although I know most of that had nothing to do with me, most of the things I dealt with, it would have drove me to drink. It would have drove me to drugs. Had I let it. I didn't want to do that. It was the one thing I didn't want to do at all. You know. But I knew at some point it wasn't my fault. I knew at some point what my folks did collectively was wrong. I knew that. And I knew I was a better person. And the reason why, because I surrounded myself with good folks who told me, you're better than that. Close friends, teachers, counselors, guidance counselors, people I talked to told me, you're better than that. You know? And what I feel bad about is that Aaron's parents, man, drove him to that point beyond comprehension, and he was very young when it happened. My folks didn't want to put me in show business because of stuff like that. The stuff like happening, like Aaron Carter's or the Silvers or the Barrs or the Jacksons. Because of that. I'm actually glad they didn't. Because that would have been one step away from me driving myself mad, man. You know. It's crazy. You know. This traffic is past on the way up there for 1 o'clock on a Friday. Well, it's Good Friday now. You know, and I don't know, folks. I'm just kind of like, No one can ever tell me that you don't need God. Oh, I could do better. I could do my about so forth. No, you can never do better with God without God. I learned that. God's everything to me, man. I'm telling you. Went for God, I probably wouldn't. And like I said, and I started going to church around the same time too. And even then, when I was going to church, I was junior usher, junior deacon, sang in the gospel in the junior choir. You know, I said junior usher, yeah, junior usher, junior. I was doing master ceremonies, a number of services, another that we did at our church. And my folks, well, not my folks, really my dad. My dad was the one who was telling me, "Oh, you don't need to be doing it. You gonna be this, and you gonna be that." Yet he didn't provide any alternatives that he thought that would have not put me in a position where he thought I was going, or a place where I was going to go. Had he thought that, but yet you had no alternative, none, zero, never offered. And I knew right there. I said, you know what? I determined I kept doing it. I was even teaching Sunday school. He ain't like an imp. But he never provided me any alternatives to counter what he thought was wrong about what I was doing. That's the irony of it. It hurt me. It did. But I was determined to get my life together, get my life right, like Tamar said, which is a great statement. Get your life right. And make something of myself, regardless of what he said. It still kind of hurt me to this day, even though my dad's gone. Been gone for a number of years. It still kind of hurt me, the fact that I was ever even told that in the first place. To this day, I still, once in a while, like when I watch this thing about the cars, I got very emotional about it. But I know I'm a better man because of the things that, even some of the things that he said that made sense to me, that helped me become the man that I am today. And as a result of that, it's not easy when you're in a dysfunctional family or a broken home. And it wasn't only me, my brother, and my sister. That was it. And my sister had been gone 3 years almost. And me and my brother and I are actually, I would say, closer than we've ever been before. We do talk a lot. We tell each other we love you. And a lot of my friends are gone. That hurt too, because I don't talk to them, and I'm not able to because they're gone. And that hurt me. I got a number of my cousins are gone too. So I just talk to you guys on YouTube. I appreciate you watching. I love you all. Hope all is well with all of you. I really do. Oh, man. There was a song. I think Burt Bacharach wrote it. I know Dionne Warwick sang it. What the world needs now is love. And we do. There's too much hate out here, man. Hate is something that we no longer need. There was hate in my family when I lived at home. A lot of it. A lot of hate, violence, and I saw it for too many years, and it almost destroyed me. Seriously. And we have to get back to that love thing, man. We got to, man. It's just, whoo, my God. But it's got to be deep in your heart, man. It's got to be real. It can't be just false. Oh, I love, smooth. No, it can't be that. It's got to be real. It's got to be from your heart. Faith from your heart means nothing. That's on everything. So, whew, man, just wanted to say that. You know, if there's anything negative about anything to do with anybody, I try to stay clear from it anymore. I do. I really do. I don't want that in my life anymore. I dealt with that mess for 21 years, living in Cleveland. I did. I can't. I can't do that no more, man. That's really sad that I had to leave that did not deal with that. And you know, years later, my dad was like, "Oh, you only got to do business down here in the DMV." He told me that years ago. Hey, I was still in the military. He told me that, and I'm like, I ain't the one with the problem. He got upset because I said that, but it was true. I didn't have, because he said I had a business and I had every right to be there. But this is what I'm saying. Parents' headspace trying to stay in your head, trying to live in your head rent free. And that's when I said, you know what? I'm going to do what I'm going to do for me. You don't determine what I do as an adult when I'm grown. And yet, he still tried it. I was 24 years old at the time when he did that. And I was like, not today, buddy. Not today. Not no more. You did that for 20 something years of my life, and I'm ending it right now. Yeah, sure did. He tried to get me to move back a couple of times, even before I got married and even after I got married. I was like, no, not happy, Cap. Nope. I'm living my life the way I want to, the way I'm going to. You know, I ain't hurt nobody, but I'm gonna live my life. You know, you said this, that, and the third. You called me everything but son of God. Nope. Don't determine my adulthood. Not when I'm adult, and you don't dictate it. You know, that's the thing about when you're an adult. You get to make the choices right for you. You know, but you got to make the right choices, not for less. You know. So, I just want everybody to have a. All right, you're doing. That's why you're banged up. I just want everybody to have a great Easter. Think about, those of you who are Christians, think about the reason why we celebrate Easter. Although I should have went to Good Friday today, but I had something else I had to do today. I had to get it out the way. I had some training I had to take care of. So, but guys and gals, remember, this is also the reason for the season. This is Easter. Jesus rose from the dead to let you know there's always a second chance of life. You know, and he can arise from the dead to give you a second chance. You can arise from your mindset and do the same thing. I'm living proof of that. I ain't here to preach, but I'm here to tell you what did it for me. Surround yourself with good people, even as pastors, police officers, friends with positive mindsets. Those are people I've always messed with, and those are people who got me where I'm at today. Thank God for them all. Well, let me go ahead and try to get to this exit so I can go where I need to be going out here so I can get me some new crisp shirts for church for Easter. I gotta sing. Anyway, all right, guys. Stay blessed, stay focused, man. Happy Easter.